wanted him out and all that sort of stuff. Sanchez, they wanted out, but yet still they were considered the mainstays of the team, like after the first few games of the season. And, even though we had to change the back four, Sanchez wasn't available. You moved Tanganga inside, but Dias, we still didn't look necessarily, flimsy at the back. We still looked quite solid. Now, until Dyer went off, and once Dyer went off, as you say, we lost kind of confidence. We lost a bit of, that rigidity at the back, and Palace, I think, probably got a little bit more, adventurous when they saw that actually it had affected us. And the reason that you say it affected us, we were now playing with only two of our regular back four, but one of them was now being played in a different position to the one that he started in. But even then, we were playing reasonably well, although we were on the back foot a hell of a lot. And it's
me,
only
Steve, my earlier point, which I'm sort of was trying to sort of elaborate on, was that that for me, Tanganga was a red card waiting to happen. And either the team, like some of the experienced heads, need to settle him down, which they didn't do, or the manager needs to make a difficult substitution.
I disagree, because I don't think the red card was a red card. I don't think the second yellow card was a second yellow card.
No, but you could see it coming. I mean, I could see it coming, and my family were sitting and watching it. We could all see it coming. Either one of those two, or probably both of them, could have gone. And it really wasn't going to take much. That crowd was febrile.
Well, I think the problem with Tanganga as well, earlier on, he'd already had a bust up. It's quite unusual for him, isn't it?
He'd already got spoken to, hadn't he?
Yeah, and he was having arguments with Zaha, and Zaha was obviously not liking it at all, and he was completely wound up. It was good to see a bit of passion there.
Oh, yeah.
But he said, I think, what was that game after the game against City, that they spoke to Tanganga and said about how he defended Sterling, and he said that he felt that, with players like that, you have to try and be physical, and try and dominate that matchup, or that, so that is.
I get that. That's
how he's going to try and play.
That's different to being wild, because at the times he was being a little bit wild there, and I think that needed a bit calming down, and that's experience.
I think you're right, Lee. Earlier on in the match, he was being incredibly physical with Zaha, but he wasn't causing a lot of fouls. He was handling him a lot. He was, just holding him a bit, and Zaha was getting really pissed off about it. But later on in the game, I just felt Tanganga kind of lost the control that he earlier had. And that might have just been, inexperience, tiredness, or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, I think we're talking about quite fine margins here, because I agree, Steve, that second yellow, he was kind of pulling his legs out from the tackle anyway. It was kind of half-hearted.
Yeah. He didn't make any contact with the guy.
No, exactly. No. And I just
what I don't understand, sorry, Andy, what I don't understand is, during, there were other incidents in the game where there's been contact and no fouls are given, and the pundits say, and the co-commentators and the commentators say, well, this is great. It shows a London derby. This is what we want, isn't it? We want the contacts. We want the blood and thunder. We want that. And then in a challenge where, admittedly, it's a minute or two after the incident, like the initial incident, but the replays show that he pulled, like, his legs are drawn back. He's kind of changed his body angle in the challenge, and there was no contact. And yet still they say, well, actually, he was a stupid boy. And it's propagated. That's not just a comment that was made in the heat of the moment in the game. That's the match of the day assessment afterwards. That's comments that are a day or two after saying he's a stupid boy. He shouldn't have gone in for that challenge. But it was a non-contact challenge. So how can you have challenges where people are being hit really physically, in challenges, and we're going, well, that's great, that's what we want to see. And then when we see a challenge that's a non-contact challenge, and then they say, well, that's a justified yellow card.
Yeah,
I don't understand it. It doesn't make no sense to me.
I completely agree, Steve. That was never a yellow card, and I agree exactly where you're coming from. But sometimes within matches, there's a lot is to do with momentum and the mood behind that momentum.
No, you can't say that. You can't give a yellow card based on momentum. You can't give a yellow card.
No, you can't. At
the time in the match, they said, well, given the fact that the incident happened 2 minutes before, that's why it was a yellow card. That's not. It's either a yellow card or it's not. It's not a yellow card just because there was an incident 2 minutes before. That's just crap.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you, Steve. I think you're right. And it has to be much more objective. But unfortunately, a lot of that in the passion and the momentum of things, sometimes we've seen it. It goes out the window. Someone was going off. At that point, you felt it was either Zaha or him, or someone was going to go off because
The thing was, though, Gallagher, who got man of the match, he was fouling all game, and he just got a bit of he's Todd Cantwell Mark II, isn't he? And he just he was literally fouling all game, and the ref hardly had a word with him, and he should have been booked after 3 or 4 of these tackles.
Yeah.
But he got away with it because I guess he was at home. The style of player, someone like Tanganga, because he's defender, he's more likely to get, yellow carded for a sliding tackle than a forward is. So, there we go. But
I think it's poor refereeing. Personally, the fact that if we're thinking that officials are making decisions again, similar challenges are happening, but because of the nature of who's making that challenge, a defender against a forward or a mid, as opposed to a forward or a midfielder, and that's more likely to yield a card. Again, that just still says to me that's poor officiating, and then I don't think we should be.
I know.
But these things happen. I think we should be definitely calling it out and saying that we think it's.
I totally agree. I don't know why we aren't, doing more of this for referees. To be honest with you, it's the only way that you can improve the way that they're doing things. And John Moss, especially, he doesn't look very fit, and he's not keeping up with play. If you watch him, he struggles to keep up with play because. He's not one of the fittest or youngest of the refs, and that game was going backwards and forwards. So
absolutely. I mean, it seems to me also. I mean, I might just be being cynical here, but after that game where John Moss looked like he was a Spurs fan, he's done everything in his power since then to not look like a Spurs fan.
Like Mike Dean. Yeah. He was also crap in Culture Club, wasn't he? But there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, so we've discussed the sending off. So up until even with Palace dominating the game, we were holding out until did Rodon have to go off? No. So it was the sending off, wasn't it? Tanganga being sent off that caused a reshuffle, and then Winks had to come off so that we could bring Davies on, and then. Davies, bless him. I say bless him. I thought he had a nightmare.
I was so pissed off with him. I was so pissed off with Mr. 7 out of 10.
he had an absolute nightmare. One of you, who was it? One of you's commented on the penalty and his hand. The positioning of his hands for the penalty. Certainly in this day and age,
he was almost saying he was like that, wasn't he? He was like, after you. Christ.
Yeah. But I mean every defender defends with their hands behind their back now in position. So he should, as a pro, he should know better than that. But you got to wonder. I mean, if you got your hand out like that, players are going to probably deliberately target your hand.
Well, they're good enough to do it. So why not? Yeah. But he had a nightmare there for the second goal. He just didn't pick up the runner.
But the ball went through, and the shot went through his leg, didn't it? I'm trying to find a way to link him to the third goal, but I can't remember. I can't remember exactly. I know that the third goal was
just. I think I think we'd actually left the pitch by the time of the third goal. I don't think there was anybody on the pitch. Yeah, we might as well have been anyway. But Christ, that was just that last 20 minutes was really bad, because I agree with you, Lee. We were definitely in the game, and I actually thought this is going to end up 0-0 because
I think Sarah was saying we're going to grab a winner at one point, and you could have happened. I think we could have, it's a bit of a smash and grab, but we were. We weren't in control, but we were managing the game until it kind of started to fall apart.
It's a shame we didn't pick Harry Kane for the game, really, because
he'd have probably made a difference. I think he'd have made a difference in this game, wouldn't he?
He would have done
if he'd been selected.
Yeah, but I guess he had to go and play for City that weekend. But there we are. Never mind.
I think fans are also reading a lot into that, aren't they?
This point that you both made about Delhi, and I think you're both right. And I hadn't actually thought about it before you mentioned it, but in terms of team setup with players away, you'd probably want to make as few changes as possible in terms of shape. So Skippy had we knew it, like they'd reported that Skippy had kind of a little bit of a knock, so it was kind of a surprise that he was actually selected. But if he was selected and we had the midfield three that was available from previous matches, then we should have played them. If you're going to bring in Royale, then you could have played Hill higher up the pitch. You could have played where Delhi was playing. You could have had Mora on one side, Hill on the other side, and Kane through the middle, and then you've still got that real attacking threat up top, and you've still got that balance in the midfield that we'd had for the previous 3 games. And then it's just a case of the one change or whatever in defence that was required. So
I know it's a bit of a cliche, but for that match, I really did think that attack was the best form of defence, considering our defence was, going to be probably the most questionable part of our team because it had been so changed. But so for me, I really would have liked to have seen Hill on earlier, and also Tanguy to put his foot on the ball and control things a bit more. I think that keeping the ball further up their end would have been much better for us, I personally think. I'm surprised that change wasn't made. Even after the sending off, I'm surprised one of those changes wasn't made. Definitely. Because the impetus, it was just then to sit back and try and soak it all up.
Yeah, I thought when even in the first half, when we'd been under the cosh for quite a while, a hell of a long time, and then we got the ball, and we hadn't had the ball for ages, and we got the ball and we zipped the ball around for a couple of minutes and moved the ball about. And I thought, okay, look, that's, we just need to get our foot on the ball and play, because Skippy was involved. Everyone was involved in getting the ball down and moving it around, and we looked like we could play again. It was like, okay, great. We can get control of this game. Even at that, obviously at that point we were still 11v11, but I think you're right in terms of, like, half time, everyone was probably calling out for a change, and it didn't happen. I didn't understand why, having gone a goal down, we didn't change it virtually immediately, because it was clear that midfield three wasn't going to help us to establish or that midfield setup wasn't going to help us to get back in the game, and we needed someone that could get their foot on the ball. So even if that was and Ndombele, who we know can carry a ball, I don't know how we didn't know how fit he is, and if he, if like that was part of the thing that he can only do 10 minutes, I don't know. But he's just got to be out there. You just got to put him out there and say, look, mate, you own 200 grand. Run, just run for half an hour, and earn your money. So. Yeah,
there's obviously something seriously wrong there if he's not bringing him on. But by the same token, he didn't bring Gill on either. So
I would suspect, I would worry that there isn't anything necessarily wrong. He's just decided not to make those changes. I don't know what exactly he was waiting for.
No, I don't know.
I don't know if he was waiting for a specific. He was hoping to keep it tight like, keep it tight after conceding that first goal. Maybe trying to keep it tight for a period of time, and then bring them